Welcome to the 5 for 2 podcast with me, your host Adele, where we say no to careers where you're trading 5 days of misery for 2 days of fun. A place we discuss all things career, confidence, and money moves. I want to motivate, teach, and empower ambitious women to achieve more, earn more, feel more confident, and enjoy the work they do. It's all about believing you can have everything you want in your career and then going and getting it. So if you're ready, let's get into it.
Hello. Welcome to another episode. This one is actually a long time coming. I'm not even sure why I've not done a whole CV episode before. As a career coach, I talk about CVs a lot. I critique CVs a lot. I review CVs a lot. As someone who's been in recruitment and human resources, I have seen thousands of CVs. And there's a common theme with getting shortlisted. Today, I want to talk about CVs for a career change, as well as CVs that will get you shortlisted in this current 2024 job market. So if you've been struggling to get shortlisted, if you keep getting shortlisted for the same type of role and the same type of money, and you're ready to get shortlisted for more money, better positions, bigger companies, better brands, a whole new industry, this is the episode you need to listen to. If you listen and still have questions afterwards, remember, drop them in the Q&A underneath the podcast. Meet me on LinkedIn, meet me on Instagram, drop me a DM. I'm always happy to answer questions. Right, so let's get into it. Before I get into what needs to be on your CV, I want you to start off with thinking about where you're applying to. Because that matters. Sometimes I see people's CVs and I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense to where you're applying to. There's nothing wrong with the CV. You've got a good CV. Like, people come to me and they're like, I thought my CV was good, but it's not getting shortlisted. CV is good. It doesn't make sense for what you're applying to. Listen, you're not going to go from, like, for instance, a childcarer to an IT manager of a huge company. There's no correlation. You can move into IT, but let's be realistic with the jumps we're trying to make. I spoke to someone recently and the role they're in is a really great role, but they're trying to change industry and they're trying to go in at VP senior management level in a new industry when they're not even VP or senior management in their current industry. Just think about that for a minute. You're sending a CV where you don't even have leadership experience and you don't have industry specific experience, but you want to be the VP of the new company. Even with transferable skills, let's be realistic. How are you managing the people in that new industry? When they come to you and they're stuck, how are you going to know what to do? At VP level, no one's really training you. At senior management level, no one's really training you. All they're showing you how to do is use their systems and then expect you to hit the ground running. So if you're trying to transition, for instance, I'm going to use the childcare thing because you guys know I came from childcare. If I'm in childcare and I want to get into IT, I'm going to apply to IT roles. But I'm going to think about IT companies who provide software to childcare companies or schools. Because I've worked in schools, I've worked in nurseries. So I'm going to go into IT, but into an industry where they supply to schools or to education. Because then I can sell that side. I can be like, listen, I know what your customers want. Because I've been working with your customers for this amount of time. I know the ins and outs. I am basically your customer. I am the other end. I am where you make money. So then you sell that part and then say to them, the IT part, I can learn. I've used IT within my current role. And then think about how you've actually used IT in childcare. Don't focus on where you haven't used it. Focus on where you have used it. If you want to get into HR and you've been an admin, look for connecting HR roles like a HR admin or a HR assistant. Then sell all your admin skills that relate, like database management, contacting customers and clients, use of various systems, note-taking, which is very relatable to disciplinary meetings when you move into HR. But think about the role. You're not going to go from an admin to the HR manager. That's a big jump. Also, you're setting yourself up. Even if you were to get shortlisted, even if you were to get the role, how well do you think you'll do in the role? I've spoken to 2 people in the last 2 months that have either been dismissed. One of them was dismissed from her role and one of them knows she's about to be dismissed because Her probation's been extended twice. She's been told she's not doing well. But also when I look at it, she's made this massive jump. She said they didn't train her. Yeah, because you've gone into management. You've gone into senior leadership. The training there, yes, they'll train you, but not at the same level they'll train you when you're in the middle or you're at entry level. It's not the same because you're going in as a leader. They expect leaders to lead. They expect leaders to figure it out. And it doesn't matter what they're telling you in an interview. They're like, oh, we'll train you. How often have you guys heard that? And then you start your job, no one trained you. They trained you for like the first 5 days and then it was like, just throws you in at the deep end, even when you're not in leadership. So just remember that. Don't set yourself up for failure, but make the jobs you're applying to make sense. Anyway, let's get into the actual CV and what needs to be on your CV. First and foremost, find connecting experience or skills that match the role, especially if you're changing industry. And even if you're not changing industry, your CV needs to be targeted. You need to connect the dots and make it make sense. Like the other day, I was rewriting a CV and this person was a project manager and she was going for project management roles in the digital space. But her CV was all about project management roles in learning and development. Listen, I know project management is project management, but we are in a 2024 job market. People are shortlisting based on the most specific CVs, the most specific skills. If you're a project manager for L&D and they're looking for a project manager for digital, and 10 other people have CVs that show that they've been project managers in digital for the last 5 to 10 years, they're going to go for those people. Why? Because they don't have to train them. Companies are lazy. Putting it out there. I've worked for many companies. The easy option is always to go for someone who they do not have to train or someone who has limited training. And I can hear you all saying, then that means we can never change industry. Wrong. I've changed industry twice. I recently got into a role where, a year ago now, I can't believe I've been there a year, but the role I do, I've never done it before. I've got really strong transferable experience, but the actual specific role I've not done before. It's very recruitment based. Like it's very recruitment, like the basis, the foundation of it has a lot of recruitment, but all the governance and all the additional stuff that goes with it, I have absolutely never done. The industry that I'm in, that I'm doing the work in, never done. It is sort of HR and recruitment adjacent. It is a manager role, but how did I get shortlisted in that role? I made what I had connect directly to the job so it piques someone's interest. When you're changing industry, you need to pique their interest. When you're not changing industry and you're doing the same job title, but it's slightly maybe in a slightly different industry or a different type of role, you need to target it. You need to make it obvious to them that you should be interviewed. So for instance, like I was saying with my client who was in project management in learning and development, she has done projects in the digital space. She has done projects in the tech space. So I just rearranged her CV, minimize the L&D stuff. Like I took off where it says project management, L&D. Just leave the words project management. Why does your job title have to say L&D if the role you're going for is not L&D? If the role you're going for is L&D, then you're going to highlight that. Just think about the connection. Sometimes it's the tiniest, most basic thing. In the summary, instead of writing project manager in L&D, tech and digital, I just wrote project manager with over 10 years experience in the digital and technology spaces. Why do you need to talk about everything else? Talk about what the person who is shortlisting cares about. Talk directly to them. Their job description is the problem they currently have, or their job description is a question, if that's how you want to think about it. And your CV needs to be the answer to that question. So if they say, looking for someone with experience in tech, go through your whole CV and look at every job. Have you talked about all the tech things you've done in each of those jobs? Even if the role wasn't directly linked to tech, what tech did you use? What systems did you use, create, upgrade, improve? Look for the evidence and look for the connections. So often we talk about, I've got loads of transferable skills, but when I look at your CV, can I see those transferable skills? I shouldn't have to take the time as the hiring manager or the recruiter to find the evidence. You should put the evidence right in front of my face, up front and personal. Why? Because in the 2024 job market, there are way more candidates than there are jobs. So that means it is a company-led market. Companies get to pick and choose who they want when they want. Therefore, if you want to be shortlisted, you need to be up in their face with your connected experience. If you want to get into IT, what IT are you exposed to in your current job? It doesn't matter if you're changing industries. Think about it. Even when I was in childcare, I was updating children's personal records, which were all stored online. We had security measures in place for us to do reports. We created visual displays online. Like, that's my IT experience. That's what I need to show on my CV versus talking about like the childcare aspects, how I taught children to learn, how I taught children to develop. No, no, no. How did I use internal databases and systems to do those things? Show off your IT. Listen, all you've got to do is pique someone's interest. You've just got to have a CV that makes someone intrigued. The second job I got shortlisted for when I made my first ever career change, she said to me, your CV was so interesting. Your experience was so interesting. I didn't realize you did all that as a manager of a nursery. Absolutely, because why would she know? So I highlighted the fact that I recruited staff, I hire staff, I do interviews. I'm trying to get into recruitment and HR. So I need to focus on the HR and recruitment aspects of my job. I'm not focusing on all the other stuff because it's irrelevant. If I'm trying to get into leadership, I'm focusing on how I lead teams to success. Even if I was coming from nurseries, as a nursery manager, I've got to lead my team to success. I've got to grow the revenue. I've got to have more children in the nursery. That's what I was talking about on my CV. Make it make sense. I've got to talk about sales. How do I do sales? I'm selling to parents every day. When parents come for a show round and I'm saying to them, like, come to my nursery versus the other nursery up the road, I've got to be good at selling, no? Find the evidence. And I know some of you listening are like, oh my gosh, I've never thought of it like that. How are you figuring stuff out like that easy, Adele? Listen, I've been doing this for a long time, so it comes easier to me. But you can do the same thing. It just might take you a little bit longer. And I know no one wants to spend ages on their CV, but guess what? It is worse to send out hundreds of applications and not get shortlisted and get disheartened, get frustrated, and then end up staying where you are, versus doing a little extra work at the beginning. Yeah, it takes a little bit more effort, especially now, but it's worth it in the end. So like I said, back to the IT example, if you're going into IT, do you update systems in your current role? Do you use internal databases to store information? Look at the job advert. What do they ask for? Have you done that? Make sure your CV shows that. And take out all the other stuff that's irrelevant. Take out the stuff that doesn't even connect. Add additional stuff. I'm not saying to you only have that information. Add additional stuff, but make sure it's relevant. Make sure it makes sense. When you read it, say, why would this person care about it? That is the thing I tell everyone who's writing a CV, all my clients, all my followers. Why should the person care? If you read it and you think to yourself, why would they care about that? Take it out. Or think about why they would care and reword it so that it makes sense, so that you've connected the dots for them. Some jobs, let's be real, you will need the experience, especially if they are specialist field. Doctors, lawyers, you can't have transferable skills for roles like that. You have to be qualified. But there are like hundreds, thousands of roles where you don't have to be qualified and you don't have to have hundreds of years experience. You can use your transferable skills. There are managers out there that want people with different perspectives. For every 10 companies that tell you, no, we want experience and qualifications, there is another 10 that will accept you. Go looking for them. Stop basing your results on the opinion of a few. Actually do a little bit more work and go and find more people. If you have to have experience, as in it's a specialist field, go and look for free short courses you can do and then add that to your CV. Listen, we all know I'm a little bit lazy and I don't even think of it as lazy anymore. As I get older, I'm like, listen, I just know how to work smarter. I'm not going to take a full-blown qualification to change industry. It's just not my thing. Especially when I can just do a little one-day course and put that on my CV. Like, what? I'm not going to go and do a whole qualification. You guys know, 15, maybe 16, I don't even know how many years now I've been in human resources / recruitment. I still don't have a qualification. People still hire me to do freelance consulting for their company, for their business. They still ask me to come in and look at their HR practices, and I get paid to do that separately from my 9 to 5. And I'm not qualified. And I know a lot of my clients listen to this podcast. I don't need to be qualified at this point. My years of experience, my results, everything I do speaks for itself. But to get into this industry, to get to this point, I had to show them why what I already had was good enough. So your CV has to highlight what they care about. Connect your experience and your skills that match the role. Another way to do that as well is network. Speak to as many people as you can who have done the job or who are currently doing the job. Because that way, You get insider knowledge. Nothing beats insider knowledge. You can find out what they look for, what kind of things you should be writing in your CV, what's relevant on your resume, what kind of industry specific terms should you be using, what language. Like I always say, like, some companies will say customer service, other companies will say customer relations. Listen, if I'm applying to a company and they say customer relations, I'm going to reword everywhere that I've put customer service and talk about being a customer relations coordinator, because that's what you call it. It's just a term. You call that in your company, in that part of the industry. Fine, then I call it that too. If I look under the roles and responsibilities and they're exactly the same, I'm going to update and edit my job title. I've said this before, there are no job title police. Update your job titles. I've seen someone called a people solutions coordinator. When we looked at it, they were HR. Your job is HR. You are HR assistant. You are HR coordinator. In the wider industry, you're known as HR. Just because your specific company made up a fancy name. Again, I'm one of those managers who likes a fancy name. I used to call my recruiters recruitment and compliance coordinators. They were just recruitment consultants. But the reason I called them that title was because it gave them a broader outlook. But also it meant if they wanted to go into another role further down the line in the future in another company, they could just call themselves a compliance officer, because your job title really was recruitment and compliance. And as a recruiter, depending on the industry, you have a lot of compliance that you have to do. Especially if you're in the education industry, you're doing DBS checks. You've got to do referencing for up to 5 years, depending on the industry. Like, there are specific compliance checks. You've got to do immigration checks because you have to make sure someone has the right to work in the UK. If you, as a recruiter, are a 360 recruiter, you do every part of the recruitment process, then you can go into compliance. You can go into other areas. But you have to look for it. So network, speak to people. When people speak to me, they end up with so many ideas. It's the same. Whatever industry you are moving into, go and speak to the source. Speak to as many people as you possibly can that have already done this job or are currently doing the job. Make sure they are active on LinkedIn before you reach out to them. Sometimes I have people say to me, I'm reaching out to hundreds of people, no one's answering me. Have you checked that they're active? LinkedIn literally tells you this person hasn't posted in ages. This person hasn't commented in like 6 months. Like, you can go on their LinkedIn page and see when was the last time they commented on a post? When was the last time they posted something themselves? That shows you whether they are an active user of LinkedIn. If they are active, reach out to them. You don't just have to use LinkedIn. I've met people on Instagram. Like, people talk about their jobs on Instagram. If someone's talking about something and you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I want to get into, reach out to them through their stories, just DM them. Like, if you're following their story and you see something, if they've posted something you're interested, comment. Some people are so scared because they're like, oh, other people's going to see me comment. And other people don't pay your bills. Take away your embarrassment. Ask for help. A lot of the time, we're so embarrassed to ask for help, and that one conversation could change anything. That one conversation could help you know what to put in your resume or your CV and help you get shortlisted. They will tell you the exact wording, what the industry cares about most, and what to write in your CV. Like, why wouldn't you? That also helps with interviews, by the way. But we're not talking about that today. But just FYI, it helps you with interviews. This is the big one. Now, this doesn't matter whether you're changing industry or whether you're just trying to get a better role where you in your current industry, whether you want more money. This is, listen, a money maker. Write your experience and skills in terms of results. I'm going to say it again. Write your experience and skills in terms of results. The days of writing a CV that looks like a job description are long gone. I mean, gone, gone, gone. That works for entry-level roles and lower paying positions. Those positions where they give you the great title, but they give you the crap money. Those kind of CVs work where you're just listing all your experience out. You're just saying, yeah, I did this, I wrote reports, I coordinated teams. It's just generic. You're just writing a list. That's how the job description reads. You have literally copied and pasted the job description, but your CV is not a job description. Your CV is an advert. You are advertising your skills. When you see adverts on TV, they're enticing, they're interesting. It's like a movie trailer. You're summarizing what is to come. Like, the movie trailer can make or break a movie. Like, if the trailer's good, you're ready to go and spend your money and go to the cinema and watch the movie. Or watch it on your Amazon Fire Stick, you know. Whatever you do, that's not my business. But I'm ready to go and pay my money and go to the cinema when the trailer is good. Your CV is your trailer. It is your movie trailer. It is a short summary of everything that you are great at. So how do you write your experience and skills in terms of results? You think about why they matter. So you didn't just coordinate teams. Coordinated a team of 15 to deliver sales above target. successfully managed a team who increased ROA by 15%, collaborated with global teams to deliver ad campaigns for, and then whatever the big brand is that you've worked for. Worked across multiple departments, supporting key stakeholders with their daily, whatever it is. Like, when you're an EA, whatever their daily activity is. You have to be the one to think about, like, why does what I do matter? So when you read a sentence, a bullet point on your CV, and it says whatever it says, yeah? Like for someone like me, it's going to be like talent sourcing candidates via multiple social media platforms. Who cares? Who cares? I can upgrade that really simply by saying talent sourcing, industry leading talent. Now it matters because I know how to find industry leading talent. I'm not just sourcing talent, I'm sourcing industry leading talent for VIP clientele. Oh, why does it matter? Because you now know that I work for VIP clientele and I source industry top talent. Think about what you do and why it matters. When you're pulling reports, who are the reports for? What does it feed? Sometimes I know admins will pull reports that actually feed the sales team's targets and KPIs. Write that. Pulling weekly reports to update sales team KPIs to deliver on company target of 10% ROI. Like, think about how you directly and indirectly impact the results in your company. What are the results? Why are you hired? What is your job for? Why are you there? There is nothing you do just to do it. It has to add value, otherwise they wouldn't get you to do it. If you work in a restaurant, why do they need you to be great with customers? Because those customers are going to return. How do you impact returning customers? How do you increase sales in your company? Selling the specials. Being pleasant in making customers enjoy their experience. You impact the customer journey if you work in a restaurant as a waitress or a waiter. So talk about it in that way, impacting the customer journey by delivering high-level service, which impacted return customers by 10%. Listen, if I've worked somewhere for a month or 2 months and the owner says, yeah, like our customers, like we're getting more return business, we're getting more return customers, I impacted that. I don't care what anyone says. You can't tell me nothing. I've been there. I'm good at my job. I work hard. I got a good work ethic. I've impacted that. So that number's going on my CV. A lot of you don't ask questions because we do. We just go to work a lot of the time, especially when you feel like your job doesn't matter, like you're not in management, you think your job doesn't matter. Your job matters. This is an example I use all the time. If you pull apart your TV or you pull apart your car and you put everything back together and one piece is missing, it won't work. Your TV won't turn on. Doesn't matter how small the piece is. I want you to think about yourself like that in your next job, in any job, in your current job. If you remove one piece of the team doesn't work. It doesn't matter what level you are at. If a leader is a great leader, they have to have a great team to lead. If there's no team to lead, then how are they leading? If none of the team do their job, you can't look good as a leader. There are no small roles, just small minds, just you not thinking about it. If I'm a waitress, I'm going to be the best damn waitress there is. If I'm the administrator, I'm the best damn administrator you ever had in your life. These are the reasons why I honestly believe I've been able to change industry. I've been able to move up because whatever role I'm in, I feel like I am the best at it. I feel like I'm the absolute shit. I'm going to be really honest with you. If I'm a waitress, there is no other waitress as good as me. When I worked in Sainsbury's at 17 and I was stacking shelves, I was the best damn shelf stacker they ever seen. I always got praise for stuff. I got pay rises because they trained me on new departments. They trained me on customer service. They trained me on the bakery. Why? Because I was super helpful with customers. Customers will always go to my manager and be like, oh, that young girl that's over on the bread aisle, she's amazing. Yeah, because I would go out of my way to help the customers. I would go out of my way to do things because I want to be seen. I want management to see me. I want fast promotions. At 17, I didn't even realize what I was doing. At 17, I didn't realize that I was setting foundation. I was getting visible. I didn't know I was doing that. I wasn't a big talker because I'm an introvert. And when I was younger, I was a lot shyer. So in that shy state, I wasn't a big talker with my boss, but I was like a big talker when it came to customers because I knew that if I looked good, the customer would go and tell my boss. And if they tell my boss, then my boss is going to come over and be like, oh, Del, well done. Da, 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 da. That's how I was an introvert, so it was easier for me to respond when someone came to me. So if my boss comes to me and says I'm doing great, I can have a conversation. When clients reach out to me and they say they want to work with me now, it's easy for me to respond. It's easy for me to talk about all the stuff that I can help them with because they're asking me for help and I'm responding. I've always been like that. I've always had that quality. But using that in my CV was important. Saying how I impacted customers, how I helped the company I worked for make money. Even if I was just stacking shelves, I did more than stack shelves. Even if you stack shelves now, customers come and talk to you all the time. You impact the customer journey. You help the brand of whatever company you work for, even if you don't necessarily see it. So start writing your CV in those terms. When you write your summary out, don't let it be generic. Talk about projects and wins that you've had recently that are relevant. So when you look at the job description you're applying to, if they say that they're looking for someone to help increase their customer base, I want you to think about how you currently do that, whether it's direct or indirect, and make sure it says it in the CV. Increasing customer base by, and then the percentage, 15%, or increasing customers from 65% to 95% using various sales techniques. Because if you're going for a sales role, you're going to need to talk about the sales techniques. Then you can say, including XYZ. Project managers, how are you impacting projects? What methodologies, I hate that word, are you using? Is it agile? What is it? What are you using to impact the processes in the projects? How big are the teams that you're running? How many people are you having to coordinate? Is it cross-functional? Is it IT, marketing, digital? Talk about it. Is it across time zones? Are you coordinating people in different countries? Talk about it. When you talk about being organized and being good at collaborating, prove it. That's another thing. When you write what you can do, prove it. Give evidence. So when I talk about write your experience and skills in terms of results, evidence what you do, but also say why it matters. I want to look at your CV and know why it matters. And then that links directly to add metrics. What are your numbers? Someone asked me literally yesterday on my Instagram, what if you've got all the experience, but you don't know your metrics? If you don't know your metrics, then you don't know your impact. If you don't know your impact, then you can't sell it. And if you can't sell it, you're going to be stuck where you are. And you're always going to find it hard to make a lot more money. Because you've got experience. What's your experience in? Experience in what? If you don't know your metrics, like I know my metrics. My experience in growing a customer base is, and I know how much percentage is. My experience in growing sales is, and I know what it is. My experience as a HR admin impacting the team is, and I know what the answer is. As a HR admin, I hate printing off CVs. That's first and foremost. I worked in the recruitment department when I was first doing HR. And when I say I do not like printing off CVs, like, no, I'm going to look at them on the computer screen. I reduced our time from application to booking in interviews just because of that sheer, I'm not printing out a CV. I also taught everyone how to review CVs quickly. Like they were taking like 30 minutes to review one CV. Sis, we got 100 applications to get through. There's not enough time. There's only 3 of us on this team. There is not enough time for us to be spending all that time. If we got 100 applications today, tomorrow we're going to get another 50. The next day we're going to get another 100, like whatever it is, because we're doing more than one job role. Like we've got more than one role. What? We got too many applications to get through. No. I taught them how to skim a CV, look for keywords. I basically taught them how to be an ATS system as a human. Because good recruiters, you got 6 seconds for us to see what we need to see and put you in the yes, no, or maybe part. So I taught them, that's how I impacted as a HR admin. You guys are doing the same. You're improving processes, but you're not looking for that evidence. And then what are the metrics? I reduced the timeframes. And I'll just think of the number. It was at least 50%. Listen, again, there are no percentage polices. No one are going to your old job and saying, did she actually reduce it by 50%? Like, come on. And I'm not saying to exaggerate or lie, but think about roughly what it was. It was taking us 2-3 weeks to get people shortlisted to book them in for interviews. I reduced that to it being like 3 days, 2 days, 48 hours, and we got people shortlisted for interviews. Managers were like, oh my gosh, how are you getting people shortlisted this quickly? And they're so good. Because it don't need to take this long. Again, my impatience, maybe my laziness. Like, I just don't have time. I want things to go move quickly. I want things to be easy. I don't want to spend half an hour reading one CV. What? I don't want to dissect everything and then call the person up and go through it with them. Like a part of going through the CV as a recruiter is also obviously calling them, going through their experience. No, I want to get to the meat quickly. So it's not just about, oh, because I'm in sales, I can think of metrics. No, even when I was in childcare, there was metrics. What? If I improve the Ofsted score, if I directly or indirectly help getting us from a good to an outstanding, that's a metric. If I've got 20 kids in my group and 18 of them are in the highest percent of development, that's a metric. If my class that I teach in reception is always in the highest percentage when it comes to their results, that's a metric. If parents are always asking for their children to be in my group, that's a result, like we were speaking about before. Right, your experience and skills in terms of results. If you don't know your metrics, you don't know your impact. And knowing your impact is what gets you paid. Knowing your impact is how you negotiate. Because when I go in and I negotiate, I say, listen, this is what I've done for your company recently. Not, oh, I do reports, I support the teams, so you should pay me more. Or, oh, I've been here for 10 years, so you should pay me more. Also, never say that, please. Like, that's not a reason to get paid more. Warming a seat in an office is not a reason to get paid more. Being in a building is never a reason to get paid more. Knowing your metrics will be the reason to get paid more. Put your metrics all over your CV. Numbers give everything more impact. They make everything sound better. Sometimes people will say to me, I manage teams in a matrix system. Versus I managed up to 2,000 team members via a matrix management system. What gives more impact? When you don't say a number, that gives me room to be like, oh, it looks like a small company, or I don't know the company, I've never heard of it. So they probably only manage like 6 people. Whole time you've managed like teams of like 300. How am I going to know? Also, metrics, think about the metrics versus the company you're applying to. Now, if you're applying to a massive company and you come from a small company, be careful not to put too many small metrics. Look more to things where you're talking about percentages versus the amount of staff or the amount of team members. Because you can just say managing a large team to reduce costs by 30%. Now, for a big company, that sounds great because you reduce the cost by 30%. But if you was to say manage a team of 4, they're like, oh, she's not going to know how to manage a bigger team. So also be careful with your metrics. Think about where you're placing them and which metrics make sense. So we want to talk about customer size, customer base, budgets, reducing cost, increasing cost, making money, improving systems. All of these things are metric based. And improving systems doesn't have to be tech systems. It doesn't always have to be online systems. It can be normal daily paperwork systems. Like what I gave you the example when I was in HR. It can be whatever the processes are. Improving a process is really important. And it can be a metric on your CV. Add in your side hustle. That's the next part I want to talk about. Before we get into something else where I want to talk about what you should be writing a little bit more. But let me talk about adding your side hustle first. You need to add your side hustles if they are relevant. If you don't think they're relevant, I want you to revisit them and look at how they might be relevant. If you're a project manager and you've had a side hustle, your side hustle was a project. Write it in terms of a project. Boom, done. If you're a teacher and you're trying to get into training and your side hustle was tutoring kids, that's training. That shows that you tutored kids. Do you understand? Like, you've trained young people. You've helped them get better at something. That's what training is. If you're trying to get into the training industry. If your side hustle included administration and you had to do a lot of admin, you had to set up your own systems, and you're going for a HR or systems role or an admin role, add your side hustle. Find the evidence in your side hustle. Someone said to me the other day, they do real estate. Like their side hustle is like real estate and stuff like that. But what they do as their day job is like tech and systems. I was like, did you not have to introduce new systems and create stuff? He was like, yeah, I've created like some packages and some software to help in my business. I was like, then talk about that. You don't need to talk about the real estate side of it. Show off your side hustle. Show how beginning a startup, introducing software systems to be able to XYZ. What did the systems help you do? Retain customer data, take data information, help with compliance. If you're going into a compliance role, like what compliance did you have to put in place for your business to ensure that your customers' information was safe? That's cybersecurity. Like, listen, find the evidence. If your side hustle has no connection at all, don't use it. But 90% of the time, your side hustle probably has a connection. You just got to figure out how to word it. Be careful if your side hustle is direct competition with what a company does, because then they think you're going to come in, steal their customers and run them back off and go and do your side hustle again. So if it's direct competition, don't put it on there. That's a conflict of interest. Be smart if you are putting on your side hustle, but there are ways to put on a side hustle that can be helpful to you versus ways that will like make you not even get shortlisted. Because if your side hustle, like I said, if it's direct competition, no one's shortlisting you. And last but not least, write what they want on your CV. We've kind of covered this a little bit, but I want to be really specific. A lot of people will fight me on this and they'll say, oh no, I prefer my CV to have way more stuff than this. My CV is like 3 pages. Or even if it's not, it's 2 pages, but it's got a load of stuff that's not relevant. Yeah, but this shows that like I've done a lot of different things. They don't care, sis. What you care about is not what they care about. What you prefer is not what they prefer. You are not the one shortlisting. Take it out. If the job description makes no reference to these things, why are they on your CV? If you cannot see the transferable and the direct connection, why is it on your CV? Yes, I know you're proud. We are all proud of so much of what we've done. Like I know people with qualifications in loads of different things, but if you're applying for something specific, if those qualifications have no relevance, take them off. They're taking up space for no reason. If your experience has no connection and no relevance, why is it on there? And don't get me wrong, you can't just have big gaps in your CV. I'm not saying not to have all your jobs, but when you have certain jobs, they should only have like 1 or 2 bullet points underneath, because if they're not relevant, what are you showing off in that job? Why am I seeing jobs that have nothing to do with what you're applying to with 12 bullet points underneath? What? And then there's no relevance, no connection. I can't understand why they're there. Guess what? When the recruiter looks, when the hiring manager looks, they don't understand. You ended up in the no pile, not because you didn't have the experience, because they had to take too long to find it. They didn't have the patience because they got another 80 CVs to look at. They got another, say even if they got another 10 CVs to look at, but 5 of those CVs have already shown the information that they want upfront and personal. Why am I wasting time looking for it on yours when I found it so easily in other people's? It makes me believe as the recruiter or the hiring manager that these people actually do the job and you don't really. You've done a little bit here and there because your CV doesn't show enough of it. It's exactly the same. Write what they want, not what you want. You can say like, oh, I prefer to put X, Y, Z on my CV. Will they care about it? Is it relevant? When you read the job description, do they ask about it? Saw a CV recently. The only reason that CV was 4 pages long was because she was like, oh yeah, but I've done loads of different things. I have a holistic approach. That's not what they asked for in the job description, sis. They want to know about all the technology and products that you've managed. So that's all we're going to talk about. Now your CV is 2 pages because we're showing off all your product management skills versus talking about all the holistic approach that you have. You can talk about that in interview. Like I said, your CV is a summary. The summary needs to be what they care about, not what you care about, sis. Also, it needs to be relevant. Random information that is not relevant to the job does not need to be on your CV. There's a lot of stuff you can do to a CV to get yourself shortlisted, but these are the ones that are foolproof. These are the ones that my clients were doing way before the 2024 job market and all the chaos. And they continue to work now. Because before, everyone listened, there was loads of jobs and not enough candidates. So companies were like, okay, even if you've got a tiny bit of experience, we're hunting for experience at this point. We'll interview you. Those days aren't currently happening. Those days are gone. They will come back round. Recruitment is swings and roundabouts. I've seen every job market. I've seen company-led markets, candidate-led markets, markets that are kind of in between. I've seen a dead market. I've seen a live and thriving market. I've seen all the job markets. This is one of the worst I've seen, but like I said, what my clients were doing previously has continued to work because it is so specific. It is so targeted. Your CVs need to talk to the job description. Literally, it's a question. Your CV needs to answer that question. They have a problem. Your CV is the solution. You're the solution, but you can't show them your solution at interview unless you can get in the door. To be able to get in the room, you have to have a CV that makes you stand out. Even when you're changing industry. Industry changes are still possible now. They just take a lot longer. I'm not going to lie. They're taking longer because of the market. And because companies are lazy, like I said, they would rather hire someone who's already got all the experience. Things will change. But for now, If you are changing industry, you need to use some of the tips that I just gave. If you want more money, you 100% need to use the tips that I gave. You can upgrade your career currently. Even if you're struggling to change industry right now, you can still give your career a nice upgrade. You can still go and do what you currently do for more money. You don't have to go for a promotion. Some companies just pay better. How do you get access to them paying better? Metrics. Show them why what you do matters. That is so important. That if you don't take anything away from today's episode, take away the fact that you need to show them why what you do matters. Why does every single report you write matter? Why does the team you lead matter? Why does your customer service skills matter? Why does what you do matter? Everything you do produces an outcome. It adds value to a company. You need to be able to show that off. Do not write your CV as a job description. Write it in terms of experience that generates a result. Show them what the result is. Every bullet point should be optimized to show off your results. Oh, and while I'm saying that, every bullet point should not start with responsible for. There's nothing wrong with using it. Responsible for ownership, that's fine. But also created, designed, improved, increased, upgraded, pioneered, spearheaded. There are so many other words that you can use. So I want you to start using those words. And I'm so glad I remembered this before we finished the episode. Change up the language you use in your CVs. Great example of that. I'm in recruitment, but people like calling it talent sourcing. I'm a talent acquisition manager versus I'm actually just a recruitment manager, or I'm a HR manager. Like, I'm a talent acquisition manager. How good does that sound to you guys? I've seen the difference between a talent acquisition lead and a recruitment lead in salary. I know a talent acquisition lead who's on £80,000 a year and a recruitment lead who's on 40. Make it make sense. They do the exact same job. Sometimes the wording is all that people care about. I noticed when I upgraded the vocabulary in my CV, I upgraded the salary that I was getting because other companies started reaching out to me. Other companies started wanting to talk to me because I was using just a better version of the words. I'm really good at simplifying things. So even when someone's speaking really fancy, like even if it's going over my head, as long as I can pick up enough of what they're saying, I can usually simplify things. As you guys know, I always think my strength is problem solving. So being able to simplify is helpful to me, but also being able to upgrade is even more helpful, especially when it comes to money. I want you guys to upgrade your vocabulary. So like I said, responsible for is great, but there are so many other words you can use. You design processes, you improve processes, you increase, you decrease, you reduce costs, you established. Like, think of how you can start, you enabled. Like, think about just the words you're using versus like every bullet point is responsible for. Like, it just sounds a little bit more junior. There's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, I use responsible for still in my CV, but not on every bullet point. Like, I use owned, 100% led. Like, I use those words, managed. Like, still use normal words. I'm not telling you to like just fill your CV with a thesaurus full of words. Like, I'm not asking you to just go and word vomit the thesaurus. I'm asking you to upgrade some of your wording, especially in your summary, to catch someone's attention. Yeah? Did you manage the team or did you strategize business growth? Which one sounds better? Depending on the money you're going for, again. I'm not telling you to put this in an entry-level CV. I'm not telling you to even put this in like an assistant or a coordinator CV, but I'm telling you, if you want more money at the sort of coordinator, exec, assistant manager, lead, then you might want to upgrade the words that you're using. You might know your job really well. You might have amazing skills and amazing experience. No one's going to know that if your CV doesn't show that off. So this episode has been longer than I thought it would be, but I hope it's been helpful. We've got 6 months left of the year. You can still get shortlisted for that dream job. You can still change the industry that you're in. You can set the foundation now. A little bit of extra work, a little bit of work at the front end on your CV is going to get you shortlisted. Wouldn't you rather do some extra work now on your CV than having to send out all these applications and just being disappointed by rejection after rejection after rejection? Not having the right keywords. You need to make sure your CV's full of keywords. I keep thinking of more things to talk to you guys about. Every time I'm about to say bye, I think of something else. Keywords. Are you putting keywords in your CV? Where can you find the keywords? In the job advert. Keywords are going to be things like if they're talking about digital, talking about tech, if they constantly talk about customer service, if they constantly talk about brand reputation, just read the job advert. What are they talking about the most? Do you have that in your CV? If they say they're looking for someone to increase the brand reach and nowhere on your CV you mention brand reach, it's a problem. But then you also need to show how you've increased brand reach so that they understand that you can actually do it. Yeah? So it might be increasing brand's popularity by, and then XYZ. So you need to be talking about how you're doing the things that you're doing. Keywords are really important and they are scattered through the job description. If they talk about wanting someone who's a strong communicator to lead cross-functional teams, you need to show that not just once, but multiple times throughout your CV. You don't need to use the exact wording, well, you do need to use like cross-functional and like managing teams, but you need to kind of reword it sometimes. So you can say leading teams, you can say managing teams, improving teams, and then you need to talk about how it was across departments. So if you don't use the word cross-functional, you want to use the word across multiple departments, including IT, HR, and blah, blah, blah. Like show it off, but make sure at somewhere it says cross-functional in your CV, at least twice. Make sure it talks about teams a few times throughout your CV. Like it talks about staff and employee retention and employee growth, whatever it is, just make sure that you're using the keywords that you see in the job description. The job description really is what is helpful. When I'm writing a CV, I have the job description up right next to it. And I'm making sure when I read back the CV, I'm like, does it read as if I could do that job? And if it doesn't, then I need to start again. I have more than one CV also. I have a management CV and a more junior CV and an extremely junior CV. I don't use the extremely junior one anymore because I'm not at that level anymore, but I've got two CVs and I made a third one for the job I've currently got because I needed to highlight what they were looking for. I needed to show throughout my years of experience how I've done many of the things that they're looking for. So I had to rewrite the CV. It's okay to have 2 or 3 CVs. Like I said, it's better to do the work at the beginning than at the end. A financial manager CV is not the same as a financial VP. It doesn't matter if it's the same industry. I said this right at the beginning. Project manager in tech is not the same as a project manager at L&D. It's because you need to reword it specifically for the role you're going for. I've been a HR and training manager. I've been a recruitment director. I've been an operations director. An operations director CV is not the same as the manager role I currently do now. It isn't. You guys know I wanted slightly less responsibility, but I still wanted good money and I'm used to being in sort of a manager role at this point, but I didn't want to be an operations director anymore. My operations director CV will make me look overqualified. Being overqualified will not get me shortlisted because the first thing they're going to think is, she's not going to stay long. As soon as an operations director role comes up, that's where she's going. And that's not true. In this current situation where I am in life, that's not true for me because I wanted to work part-time. I didn't want as much responsibility because I was working on my business and my business was growing. So think about it like that. When they look at the CV, does it make sense for the role that you're applying to? If you're going for a manager role, have you shown off your manager experience? You might not currently be a manager, but you can move into management, but you need to show off your manager experience. How have you unofficially led teams? How have you unofficially led people, managed people, motivated people, grown the team, helped increase numbers because you was leading the team, stepped up in the absence of your manager? Like, talk about those things. That's what matters. I don't care whether you had the title to do it or not. If you were doing it already, then that shows off your management skills. And if you want to be a manager, what makes you want to be a manager? You must have had some sort of practice. You must know. It can't just be, I've been doing this for years, so I should be a manager. Will you be good? Not everyone is good at leading people. Some people are so good at leading themselves, they should do their job, but just get paid more for it. But they're not necessarily good at coordinating people and getting other people to do what they need them to do. We all know managers that we just don't listen to because we don't respect. And then we all know managers that are great leaders and we want to help them out. Even like staying late and doing extra for them. We go the extra mile because we really like that manager. That manager supported us. So will you be a good manager? That's the difference. Having the title doesn't mean people just give you respect automatically. Will you be good at your job? And if you will, can you show that off in your CV? Anyway, I think now I've covered everything. If I haven't, I'm sorry, let me know. I can do another episode. But this is how you get shortlisted. Metrics, your experience written as results, writing what they care about, not what you care about, keywords, and networking. Ask people that are doing the job what should be on your CV. I'm wishing everyone the best of luck for the next 6 months in the job market. You have got this. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. Yes, things might take a little bit longer, but they will be easier if you get the first part right. Get your CV right, make your job search easier. No one wants to be in this job market looking for 4 or 5 months. Listen, you can shorten that by having the right CV. I'll speak to you guys in the next episode.
I hope this episode gave you exactly what you needed and motivated you to confidently take steps towards your next career move. If you enjoyed it, screenshot and share it on your socials, tag me on Instagram, and come join my community of amazing women working on leveling up their confidence and career. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.